You talked about marketers and the inefficiency and how have marketers been forced into being lead gen machines, right? So we talked a little bit about that. But, I think that one of the other things that's missing here is, and I think about this in sales. And Adam, I know, you've led sales teams. So if you've got to make end of quarter end of year numbers, I always think of the sales process as a horizontal sequence, right? And marketing views the world moving left to right. Somebody that downloads or subscribes to an email, attends a podcast, whatever, then they use enough scoring and intent signals. Maybe they're a lead. They kick them over to sales. Sales doesn't consider them a lead. They recycle. But eventually you're moving left to right, at least in the West, right? We read left to right. So you think about a sales pipe. That's where the pipeline obviously comes from. But sales views the world right to left. If I got to make numbers, I'm going to stalled opportunities or things that are 75% down the process because I don't have time for marketing to give me, even right now, we're doing this in the month of July, right? If you've got a 9 to 12 month highly complex considered sale, if marketing gave you 300 new leads in August, unless they were going to greatly compress their buying cycle to 90 days because they have end of year money they need to spend to re-platform or whatever, it's never going to happen. So what do you do if I'm a frontline seller and I'm 200,000 euros short of quota? I'm looking at right to left. And so what happens is when marketing spends a ton of money on junk in the lead and into the opportunity stage, that we know collectively, if you're doing this commercially the right way, sales says, our normal close rate's 23 to 25% at opportunity to close. But given the things that these customers want that we don't have in terms of product mix, flexible contract terms, first year opt out clauses, da 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 da, we're probably a 10% chance of closing that piece of business. Then I would ask, why did we ever spend marketing money to put them in the funnel in the first place?
Hmm.
So George, back to your point, it's not only a problem to send leads to sales that sales puts their hand up and says, these people don't have any buying intent. They could have a legit buying intent, so they get to opportunity stage. So on the surface, the first 40 minutes of our call 40 minutes ago, we said, why don't we comp people on opportunities? Okay, fine. So let's assume you fix the first part of the funnel, commercial integration, your GTM and RevOps, that there's a unified idea what an ideal customer looks like. There's a unification between sales and marketing around, we're not going to guess at intent, we're going to look for buyer declared signals. Sales, we usher it to sales. But if this is not the type of opportunity for which we are an IVP, an ideal vendor for them to buy from, you're going to see now what you've spent all this money in marketing, but it gets worse because now you've got sales wasted time. The SDR,
Hmm.
the AE, the sales director that got called in because it's a whale deal over 500,000 euros or Australian dollars or whatever. Now you got a
Yeah.
director. And then you know all this, the collateral stuff that comes with it. Now you start to look at CAC payback, you look at some of your expense ratios for actual closed revenue, and it's actually not a lead opportunity problem. It's a company that we were a year too early bringing them into our sales funnel.